Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. It is indeed a pleasure to have with us on today's program Mrs. Linda Kaplan, and she is an immigration lawyer. She's the president of Linda M.Kaplan, PA. She has over 40 years plus practice as a lawyer, and we're going to talk a little bit about her background as a lawyer. Looking at her bio, I saw that she was previously she previously practiced tax law. So we're going to talk to her a little bit about that and how she got into immigration and what motivated her to get into immigration, etc. So stay tuned as we continue this conversation with Mrs. Linda, who is an expert when it comes to immigration here in the United States of America.
For all of your forwarding and freight shipping needs, we at Trin Forwarding International are committed to product delivery. At Trin Forwarding, we have the much needed experience, professionalism, and due diligence in freight forwarding, shipping, and cargoes. We deliver with timeliness and precision. You can reach out to us at our Caribbean office in Trinidad and Tobago, telephone number 868-624-6250, or our Florida, USA office at 305-887-9725.
Welcome to the show, Mrs. Linda.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It's really an honor for us to have you two with your busy schedule, having to deal with clients all over the United States and all over the world. For you to take the time to be with us, we really do appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about your background for viewers. I know we had you on a show a couple of years ago, but with social media boom in the world and with COVID, etc., you have more people on social media. So for our new viewers, etc., let us know a little bit about your background. Are you originally from Florida or out of state, etc.?
I was born in Miami Beach. But my father re-enlisted in the military when I was 9 weeks old.
Wow.
So we grew up living in a lot of different places, and different places in the U.S., Virginia, Louisiana, Texas. We also, I lived in Japan when I was 3 years old, and also in Germany, starting right after kindergarten.
Oh, interesting. That is a whole different part of the world, eh? Germany and Japan, eh?
Right.
Good, good, good. So, looking at your bio, I saw that you used to practice tax law once upon a time. You're a tax lawyer, if we would say. All right.
Yes, I after getting my law degree, I went to an advanced tax program at NYU, and so I got an advanced degree in tax law. And with the degree in tax law from NYU, I came back to Miami and started practicing as a tax attorney. But the first firm that I worked for was a firm that primarily represented foreign investors in doing their tax planning and investments in the U.S. So they elected me as the youngest attorney to learn immigration law. And so I started doing immigration law within my first year of law practice. And I eventually got to the point where I do only immigration law, and it's been years since I would agree to represent someone on a tax matter.
That is interesting. And I remember, when we spoke some time in the past, you made a beautiful statement by saying that doing tax law, you deal with people and their money. But when you do immigration law, you are dealing with people and their lives, and you prefer to help people with their lives and their immigration status, etc. And that is really, really nice.
I got an email from a client this week thanking me for helping her cousin and saying that her cousin thought I was very nice and kind, and that I helped a lot of people have a happier life in the U.S. doing it the right way.
And I'm sure that you get a lot of peace, a lot of tranquility, a lot of satisfaction when you hear these kind of comments and get these kind of remarks that, you were able to help people out of problems and difficulties and get them to a better life and get them over all these immigration issues, because the immigration issues can be very trying, can be very frightening and scary at times.
It can be, and sometimes I tell my clients, don't worry, let me handle the worry for you.
Right, yeah.
And I can tell them that things that they're worrying about are often not a problem.
Well, with 40 years plus experience, I mean, immigration has come like a cup of tea for you, right? Having a cup of coffee in the morning.
Well, I'm a tea drinker, but the thing is, yes, I have a lot of experience, but it's one of those fields where the law is changing constantly. The law is changing, and the interpretation of it is changing, and the process is changing. Sometimes the most challenging part is not whether a client qualifies for a certain status, but how to get them that status in a reasonable amount of time.
That's an important point, because of the fact, from a political point of view, I'm sure that there would have been many changes in immigration law under President Trump's administration and now under President Biden's administration. Could you share with our viewers and people out there who are interested in knowing about that, or who are contemplating certain things, and now they would be able to know or have a better picture of what it was like under Trump's administration, President Trump's administration, and what has changed now under President Biden's administration?
Well, since 2016, immigration levels in the country have dropped significantly. And part a big part of that was deliberate. And some of it is related to COVID, but a lot of it was deliberate. There were bans on immigration from Muslim countries. There were policies that were put into place that make it unnecessarily difficult and cumbersome. For example, if you had a executive approved as a multinational manager and you get it approved for 2 years and you want to get it approved for the same position for another 2 years, pre-Trump, there was a policy that they called it a policy of deference, that if they've already looked at your case and determined that you were a high-level executive and that the company qualified, then when you go to renew it, they should give deference to the prior adjudication. But the Trump administration eliminated that policy and had you reprove everything that you've already proven. And it created a lot of work and a lot of uncertainty when there shouldn't have been. Our businesses that need to have their visas approved for executives need to know, if you got it approved once, that it should be approved for renewal again. So now they've reinstituted the policy of deference, and they're working. We still have a lot of that. So that created extra work, which made things work slower. And so there were a lot of little policies here and there that really slowed down, in some cases stopped legal immigration. And now the administration is working towards changing those policies and making the system work better.
Oh, that is really interesting. It's sad to see how it got very political as opposed to, helping people. It became more a political issue, right?
Well, just this morning, it was announced that the Immigration Service has a new mission statement, and it includes the words a welcoming nation and respect for the applicants. The welcome and respect was something that was done away with and is being brought back.
Wow, that is interesting. So does that mean? Yeah, go ahead.
It's a different attitude. You see a different attitude.
Oh, the attitude has changed, and I'm sure that, yes, the laws will be the same, but the attitude in dealing with people might be more welcoming.
Exactly.
And I think that's very good, because that really was a problem a little bit in the past, when people thought that they were not welcomed in America, and they were not welcomed to become immigrants, and that also created a backlash, because some countries out there were doing the reverse with Americans when they go to other countries.
And we were losing highly qualified people to other countries because other countries were more welcoming.
That makes sense, and I think that would definitely go very, very far now with this sort of change in attitude and how they will deal with people. And I would only assume, Mrs. Linda, that this may also be in the airports when you land in from a foreign country. Even the officers may be a little better in their approach and their attitude in dealing with visitors, because once upon a time, visitors, even though they had a visa and they had everything, just the attitude of officers could have been very frustrating.
It could be, and it still may. The policy the mission statement that was just announced applied to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And now they are the people that handle the applications for family petitions, for business petitions. The people you meet at the airport are Customs and Border Patrol, which is a different agency. So that mission statement doesn't directly apply to Customs and Border Patrol, but I think it does have to blend over and have some influence.
It may gradually, automatically, if it's if it's happening, from the immigration point of view generally, then there should be a little difference, and we hope for the best. Well, time just goes. We're almost 15 minutes in our conversation in this first segment. So when we come back, I would really appreciate if you can share a little bit of your experience and knowledge for viewers or global viewers out there on business visas, people who would like to invest and come to the United States of America, because in recent times I've heard a lot about that, and people contemplating it once they were kind of scared away, but as COVID is kind of going down, thank God willing, pray for the best, it may open back more doors for people out there to invest, and which can be immigration issues and complications that people would like to know about. So when we come back, we will talk a little bit about that. So to our viewers out there, thank you for tuning in to Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. And once more, it is a pleasure to have with us on today's program Mrs. M.Kaplan, who has over 40 years plus in immigration law services. So stay tuned. When we come back, we will continue that conversation.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is indeed an honor to have with us on today's program Mrs. M.Kaplan, an expert in immigration laws. She has been practicing immigration laws for over 40 years now in the United States of America. So stay tuned as we continue this conversation with Mrs. Linda on immigration law in the United States of America. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you again. And when we closed off the first segment, we were talking about people wanting to invest in America. Tell us all about that. What visa is that? How it goes about, investing, business visa. What's the whole 9 yards about that?
Well, I when a client tells me they want to get a business visa or wants to invest, The first thing I ask is, well, let me know about you, what experience you have, what education, what your qualifications are. Because there's a lot of different business visas that we can apply for. One of the most significant is what they call the intercompany transfer. It's an executive or high-level manager transferring from a foreign office to a U.S. office. And it can be to open a new office or to take a position in an existing office. It has to be a high-level executive, a high-level manager, and that's one of the best ways to do it, and it's a temporary visa, but it can lead to permanent residence.
So, not to cut you, Mrs. Lindell, for example, people like whom we're talking about, just so that our viewers out there can have an understanding.
We're talking about people who have a significant business in another country. Right. Now, they can be employees or they can be owners of the business.
Like engineers, doctors, accountants. What are we talking about?
Well, no, actually, if you're a professional like a engineer or a doctor or an accountant, you might qualify for the H-1 visa. The H-1B visa is a professional visa. Mm-hmm. And that can sponsor you to work in your profession. You have to have a U.S. sponsor.
Okay.
And they have to go through the process with you. So the L1, the executive transfer, would be more likely to apply to people who had an operating business in another country, and they want to set up a business here and transfer key people to come to the U.S. to either establish or manage that business.
Oh, that's the L1, where someone wants to invest here, probably buy a business, buy a Dunkin' Donut, a Subway, or something like that. Or something of their business they want to establish here.
You know, I like to see clients establish a business that they're familiar with. Mm-hmm. So coming to the U.S. and establishing a profitable business can be tough. If you're going into a new field of business that you don't have experience in, it's going to make it even tougher.
Right.
So if you're if you know the business, it's easier to do it in another country than going to another country, learning the business practices in that country, plus learning the business in general. I mean, so it's I like to see clients open up a related business just because I think it makes them more likely to be successful, but that's not a requirement of the law.
Okay, because that's what they are expert in and have the experience in, so it makes a lot more sense that they're opening another branch here in the United States of America to serve this part of the world. Okay, that's interesting. And what is the E-visa all about?
Okay, an E-visa is what they call a treaty visa. You have to be a citizen of a country that has entered into a treaty with the U.S.
Oh, okay.
And we have a long list of those countries, but it doesn't include every country. So the first thing is to ask is where are you a citizen? But if you're from a treaty country, there's two types of E-visas. Mm-hmm. The E1 visa is to handle import-export type of transactions between the two countries.
Okay.
And there's not a specific investment required for that. You just have to show that there will be you have to show that you've gotten started a little bit when you apply, but you show a business plan, and you show what you plan to do, your projections on what you're going to do, and they look at what your sales projections are, how much business are you generating. They don't look at how much you've invested. So that's the E1 that looks at transactions, import-export type of business.
Okay.
The E2, so that's the treaty trader.
Mm-hmm.
The E2 is the treaty investor. And for the treaty investor, you don't have to have trade with another country. You can come and make an investment in a strictly local business.
Oh, that's the difference, where you come and you invest in a local business. Now, recently,
Right.
someone was telling me that it's now $1 million, or is it still the $500,000? What's the figures around there?
No. There's people often confuse the e-visa, the treaty investor, with the EB5, which is an immigrant investor.
And what's that now?
And that now with the E2, you do need to show that you're going to create employment, but you don't have to have a specific amount of employees, and you don't have to have a specific amount of investment.
Right.
The investment simply has to be enough to get a business of your type up and operating and profitable.
Mm-hmm.
The immigrant investor requires the higher investment, $1 million, sometimes it's 500,000, but it requires that you create at least 10 jobs, and that you maintain the investment over a number of years while it's processing. It's a very cumbersome visa, and I often don't recommend it.
Okay. When you say it's complicated, like, what are some of the areas of complication, basically?
The complications are, a lot of the complications are due to timing. You apply for it. If you get provisional approval, then you have to go back after a number of years and prove that you've maintained the investments. You have to show that you've maintained the investment, and you have to maintain the number of employees, maintain or increase the number of employees. And it's just been so cumbersome that they've had this type of visa for many, many years, and problems keep arising that mean that people who applied end up not getting it.
Okay, and I suppose
And also, people don't seem to understand that if it's not profitable, you're not only going to not get the visa, but you could lose your money.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. That you will have to show if the business is profitable, what kind of taxes and what kind of income, expenses, profits the business is making.
You have to show that, and the employment level. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't have a problem investing $1 million, but I don't know how to do it in a way that creates 10 jobs. I don't need that many people.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You were mentioning when we were on the break a little bit about a startup visa for business. What's that whole new scenario?
That's just being considered. It passed the House, and it has to go to the Senate, so it's still not law. excuse me.
No problem.
But they're talking about an easier way to start a business and get a visa to start the business.
So if it gets passed, what is that going to all be about? What you assume the startup visa, if it gets passed, what is it going to generally be about? Once more, for our viewers out there who are listening and would like to probably do some investment.
Well, it's really too early to say what it's about. You know, we don't know if it's going to pass in the Senate. We don't know in what form it's going to pass, so, you know, hopefully it's an easier route than the immigrant investor and doesn't require as much of an investment or as many employees. But it still remains to be seen if it passes, and if it passes in what form. But it's something we keep an eye on. You know, the first thing I do when I sit down at my desk is go online and see what news updates there are for immigration.
Right. But we hope it will get passed. It's going to definitely make life a little easier and ease up some of the complications in the present business investment visas, etc.
Well, and it's also to be able to help people who have PhDs in STEM fields, in science, technology, engineering, or math. So there's special provisions to help bring in people that can really help us in significant ways and help us with research and science and things that we're badly needed.
Yes, so we got about 3 minutes again for the second segment. What else would you like to share with our viewers about anything pertaining to this investment, and what you would like to suggest someone wants to come and invest in the United States? What suggestion or recommendation would you like to give to them?
Well, they need to do a lot of research, and they need to see if, number one, is the business going to be viable, and that means doing a well-planned business. A business plan is vital. It's required for immigration, and it's required for people to help organize their plan and make sure that they will be successful.
So someone listening to this show, looking at this talk show here right now, and they have some money in the country that they are in, and thinking about using it for some investment to get an opportunity to migrate to the United States of America, then the best bet will be to give you a call, I would only assume, and then you will guide them along.
Yeah, the best bet is to contact an immigration attorney, tell them what they want to invest, their ideas on how they want to invest the money, and we try to find a plan that works for each client.
Okay, beautiful. Well, as you know, the clock is always clicking, so we got to go on a short break. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation on other immigration laws here in the United States of America. So to our viewers out there, thank you for viewing, and stay tuned. When we come back after the short break, we will continue this conversation with Mrs. M.Kaplan, who has over 40 years plus of immigration experience as an immigration lawyer.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is a pleasure to have with us on today's show Mrs. Linda Kaplan, who is the president of Linda M.Kaplan PA. She has over 40 years of experience with immigration law. Mrs. Linda, as we were talking in the second segment about different visas and the H1, the L1, the E, etc., 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 tell us what other opportunities people have and what other visas possibility are there available out there for people who want to come on. I know you were mentioning on during the break about this extraordinary ability visa. Tell us all about that. That sounds very extraordinary.
It is, and I've been doing a lot of those recently. It can apply to people in the arts, entertainment, athletes, coaches, business people, and they judge you by your qualifications within your field. So they look at things like there's a list. Now let me back up a little bit. There's an O1 visa, which is a temporary visa for which you must show extraordinary ability, and then there's also an opportunity you can petition for recognition as one of extraordinary ability for purposes of getting a permanent residence, an immigrant visa. But so I'll really talk about them. I'll sort of blend the discussion of them because the standards are very similar.
Okay.
But to show extraordinary ability, they look at 10 different factors, and now you could qualify on the basis of having a major international award, such as an Olympic medal, or prizes, or a Nobel Prize. But for most people, they look at the 10 factors and you have to meet at least 3 of them. But I've never filed one with only 3 of the factors addressed. I try to hit more of the factors to give us a better chance. And the things they look at is well, what articles have been written in major newspapers and major publications about you. They look at what significant, unique achievements you've had. They look at have you in your field been asked to judge the work of other people? Have you published in major articles? And then they look at, excuse me, have you earned a salary that is significant higher than others in your field? And again, because you look at field by field, what's considered a high salary for one person in one field may be not high in another field. So it's a very work-intensive visa. It requires a lot of work on my part, and also a lot of participation and involvement with the client, because they have to tell me, where they were published and who wrote articles about them, and so they have to provide me the information that I can use, so I can fit their qualifications into the 10 criteria that immigration lists.
So does that also include them having to prove a job opportunity in the United States of America, that with their extraordinary ability, that there is some company here that is willing to hire them?
They have to prove that they're coming to the U.S. to work in their field. It doesn't mean that they have to have a job offer.
Oh, they can
So
establish their own office.
It can be self-employment.
Okay, that's interesting to know that it can be self-employment as long as it proves fruitful to that skill and extraordinary ability that they are
Right.
applying for.
Right.
Wow, that is interesting. I didn't really know about that. I haven't known about that. First time I'm really hearing that.
Yeah, not many people know about it,
Yeah.
but for the people that can qualify, it's a wonderful tool.
I think so. I mean, it's amazing. I have never really met someone who said, well, I came to the United States of America with an extraordinary ability visa. That's unique.
You see this piece of art
Yes.
behind me?
Yes.
That was done by a Chinese man who got his immigrant status on the basis of extraordinary ability.
Wow, that he's an artist? Is that?
An artist. I've done it for art. Now, actually, I have to disclaim it. I did not represent this artist. I bought his painting at an art show, and I'm walking down the street, and I see this from about a block away, and I just fell in love with the piece of art. But I started talking to the artist and found out that that's how he'd gotten his immigrant visa. But I've done extraordinary ability people visas for tennis. A lot. I've done a lot in the tennis field. Tennis players, especially tennis coaches, architectural photographers, business people. It's really somewhat, it can be expansive in the number of fields that you can be involved in.
That's a very extraordinary visa, I must say. But I'm sitting and looking at you here, and I wanted to ask you that you got a beautiful picture in the background, look very artistic, only to know that it came from someone very unique and who is an expert in art.
Yes.
Wow. So what else, Mrs. Linda, would you like to share with us in this segment of the program? Anything else you would like to share about immigration, you would like to say to our worldwide viewers who might be interested in migrating to the United States of America? What would you like to suggest to them?
Yeah, I'd like to have people to know that the procedures are getting a little bit better and more reliable. For the last couple of years, you could get a visa petition approved, and you sent it to your home country, and at the home country you need to have an interview with the consular section in order to get the visa to come here. But you would go on the State Department website, and you would look on it. Say you got an L or an E, or you got something approved, and you look on the Department of State website, and it would show visa wait time, meaning that the amount of time you have to wait to get an interview could be 199 days.
Mm-hmm.
Which meant they virtually were not approving them, and they were shut down. They were deliberately slowed down, and then they were shut down because of the COVID restrictions. They recently announced that they are going to waive interviews for a certain number of business visas. So now the visa numbers the visas are getting approved much more quickly.
So when you say waive the interviews, you mean they don't have to go and take a in-person interview in certain cases?
It's all online. The approval is sent from immigration here to the consulate. They apply for the visa online. They provide the documents that are required. They send in their passport, and then the consulate sends back the passport with the visa in it without them having to go in person.
Oh, that very interesting. And that brings me to another point. Someone who wants to get a visitor's visa, and they're having problems in their embassy or in their country, or the consulate in their country, they can't get it. Too much people, too long time. What could they do?
At this point, I can't offer much hope on that. It's a long wait, but I'm hoping that with them waiving the interviews for the business people, or they're also waiving interviews for students.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that as they catch up with their work, then they will get around to the tourist visas.
Oh, so we're hoping that maybe someday it may happen that tourists may get a visa.
There are standards for expediting it, but they're very tough standards, like serious medical emergency or death in the family or something like that. It's very hard to qualify for an expedite.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll get back to normal, and tourists will be able to get visas and come here.
So that's especially to do with the COVID situation right now. But that brings me to another point. Even before COVID and now with COVID, the what you call, if I have it correct, what is it? The visa, it's an e-visa that you get for other countries like Canada and other foreign countries. I am hoping I get it, that you apply and get an answer on email or something like that.
That people call it ESTA, electronics.
ESTA,
yeah.
Yes.
That's
ESTA.
for people that don't require a visa.
Oh.
So countries like Canada, most of Europe, Japan, countries in which the immigration feels like there's a low rate of fraud, a low rate of problems in their country. So is the more developed countries qualify for coming in on a visa waiver, and it's good because you don't have to wait for a visa. If you come in on a visa waiver, you're only allowed to stay for 90 days, and you're not allowed to change your status while you're here. Whereas if you come in with a visa, you can apply for extensions or change your status.
All right, the electronic visa, yeah, that's the thing, the ESTA visa. That's interesting. I mean, this is just hypothetically speaking. Do you think the U.S. might ever do that? I don't know. They do it for some countries, right?
Oh, we do have it. We do that for a lot of countries. The visa waiver.
Right, for like London, some people got to do it. From Canada, come in here, etc.
Right.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. But you think that might get widened even more later on?
You can always hope that
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
to other countries.
I don't know, but with the globe getting so small and more people are traveling, and I mean, looking at what has happened with COVID, the airline industry, it went down because of people not flying, tourism. A lot of things got messed up, and so they got to build back the economy. And I don't know what they may have to do temporary. The only thing they got to try to encourage is a lot more traveling, a lot more tourism to just boom back that area of the economy.
We definitely need that. I just wrote a blog that's going to be published in a few days about how people seem to think and that immigrants take jobs, that they're a drain on the economy, but actually it's just the opposite. We have a lot of labor shortages, and part of the reason we have labor shortages is that immigration levels have declined, and so we really need. People think immigrants take jobs, but that's not true. They create jobs. I mean, to the extent that they come in on employment-based status, they take jobs that, for the most part, that Americans can't do, or we don't have enough Americans to do them. And when it comes to lower skilled positions, they often take jobs that Americans simply don't want.
Which makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. So we really, to get the economy in a better shape, we really need to have more immigrants.
You're right. And I mean, I must say, now that you mentioned you wrote a blog this morning or yesterday, a lot of people do very, very much appreciate the articles that you write in Alhikmat magazine. It really goes out there. A lot of people do comment how much they benefit from it, because I mean, someone like you with 40 years experience, when you write something on immigration, it's definitely very authentic and very beneficial to our viewers worldwide.
Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it.
I enjoy writing, and I enjoy communicating and educating people about immigration. Well, so a lot of times my writing is really not directed at people who might be customers, but people in the general public that I think need to be educated about how immigration works in this country, and explode some of the myths that people have about immigrants hurting the economy.
And that's very, very important. You are so right to the point. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. And Alhikmat magazine goes out on social media to people all over the world. And when they read your articles, people are always very much attracted to America. And when they see immigration and they hear your side of it, because there are a lot of walls that are put up when you talk about America and immigration and all these things. But when you write so very positive and so very welcoming, I think it really, really puts a lot more peace in the minds of people who read your articles.
Thank you.
Yes.
You have given me an idea for one of my next blogs, is that I will probably be writing about the extraordinary ability petition.
Yeah, I have never met someone who got a visa and said, I met people won the lottery, visa, they got this, they got that, but an extraordinary ability, that's very extraordinary. And I think that might be something very creative, because it will motivate people with skills in sports and music and art and other level of skills that they are gifted with.
Yes.
Yeah, and America is now looking very much for that area. I see a lot of our governors and whatever public office, elected people, motivating people to get more into skilled profession, because there is a great lack of that in the U.S. right now.
Yes.
Well, we got about 2 or 3 minutes, so maybe a minute or two again to conclude the program. Tell us what you would like to share with our viewers before we conclude the program.
Just that things are getting better with immigration. I'm optimistic about the procedural changes and policy changes, but we really need to be very focused on getting our government to pass legislative changes, because legislative changes are needed the most. We need to do something about the large number of people who are undocumented but have been contributed to this country for years. We need to do something to help the undocumented children, the DACA people who were brought to this country as a child and need a permanent status. So we really do need everyone to work and pressure your legislators for immigration reform.
Well said, Mrs. Linda, and thank you very much. With your busy schedule, an immigration lawyer that serves people worldwide, you got clients all over the world, to take the time to be with us on this show, it's really, really commendable, and we thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate your support in writing in the Alhikmat magazine, and of course being in our show. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, and it will be nice whenever there are some new laws or something else that you would like to talk about that comes out there. Let us know. We'll have another program.
Let you know.
Yeah, so we can share it to our viewers now with social media and Alhikmat TV, etc. All right.
I'll be happy to do that.
Beautiful. So to our viewers out there, thank you very much for tuning in to Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. It's a pleasure to have had you as viewers, and I'm sure that you would have benefited a great deal after listening to Mrs. Linda Kaplan, who is the president of Linda M.Kaplan PA. And she, as we said earlier on, she has over 40 years of experience with immigration law. She is an expert there. So feel free to contact her. Go online, Google Linda M. Kaplan, or contact us at Alhikmat office, and we can get you her numbers, etc. So you can benefit from her 40 plus years of experience in immigration law. Until then, always stay tuned to Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Bye-bye.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, says, those people whose shughul, whose occupation is in learning Quran, teaching Quran, spreading the message of the Quran, without asking Allah for anything, Allah grants it to them. Please, as we live in this world, we can check how many businesses we have and how many accounts we have and how many properties we have. Let it be that the angels count how many Quran you distribute in the path of Allah. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Royal Bengal Trading, importer, exporter, wholesaler of Bangladeshi Indo-Pak groceries and spices. We specialize in various authentic Indian masalas, juices, flours, rices, and spices. We offer exclusive brands as Ocean Pearl, Shan, National, Tilda, Himani, and many, many more. We're located at 36B Coroni Savannah Road, Charlieville, Chaguanas, Trinidad and Tobago. You can call us at 473-4676 or call 476-3117. Email us at wahabdk@gmail.com.